Right now, without noticing, your hand might already be near your face. Touching your hair. Rubbing your neck. Picking at a loose thread on your sleeve. You didn't decide to do it. Your body just did it. And if you're on your phone while reading this, there's a good chance your thumb is doing something almost identical, scrolling, tapping, smoothing across the glass like it's stroking something. This isn't nervous energy. This isn't a bad habit. The real answer is far stranger. You are a primate, and right now, you are grooming yourself exactly the way your ancestors groomed each other in the trees. Watch any group of chimpanzees for more than a few minutes and you'll see it. One animal sits behind another, parting fur with careful fingers, picking out dirt, bugs, dead skin. The one being groomed goes almost limp. Eyes half closed. Shoulders drop. It looks less like hygiene and more like a spa day. And in a sense, that's exactly what it is. For decades, scientists assumed grooming was purely practical. Clean fur, fewer parasites, healthier animal. But that explanation never fully added up. Chimpanzees spend far more time grooming each other than they would ever need for basic cleanliness. Some individuals get groomed for hours a day, far beyond what removing a few ticks would require. So why keep doing it? An anthropologist named Jane Goodall spent decades observing wild chimpanzees at Gombe stream in Tanzania, and what she documented reshaped how scientists understood primate behavior. Goodall noticed that grooming wasn't randomly distributed. Chimpanzees groomed their allies. Their friends. The individuals they wanted to keep close, and the individuals whose support they might need later. Grooming wasn't just about clean fur. It was about relationships. It was, in the most literal sense, how chimpanzees said, "I trust you," with their hands instead of their mouths. This idea got a name and a much bigger theory decades later, thanks to a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar. Dunbar noticed something curious when he compared different primate species. The amount of time a species spent grooming correlated almost perfectly with the size of its social group. Bigger groups, more grooming. Not because bigger groups were dirtier. Because bigger groups needed more relationships maintained, and grooming was the currency that maintained them. But there was a problem. As Dunbar traced this pattern toward early humans, the math stopped working. Human social groups grew far larger than any chimpanzee troop, sometimes into the hundreds. If humans had kept relying on one-on-one physical grooming the way chimpanzees do, there simply wouldn't be enough hours in the day. You cannot pick through the hair of 150 different people and still have time to eat, sleep, or find food. So Dunbar proposed something that sounds almost too simple to be true. Language, he argued, didn't evolve primarily to share information about the world. It evolved as a replacement for physical grooming. A faster, more efficient way to do the exact same social job. Instead of picking through one person's fur for 20 minutes, you could talk to 3 or 4 people at once. Gossip. Small talk. Checking in. Dunbar called it vocal grooming, and the theory suggests that every time you chat with a friend about nothing important, you are doing precisely what a chimpanzee does with its hands, just with your voice instead. Here's where it gets interesting. If language became a replacement for physical grooming among other people, what happened to the physical grooming instinct itself? It didn't disappear. It just lost its original target. And it turns out that instinct still needs somewhere to go. This is why you touch your own hair when you're nervous. Why you rub your own arms when you're anxious. Why picking at your cuticles, twirling a strand of hair, or running your fingers along your own skin feels calming in a way that's hard to explain logically. You're not being weird. You're performing self-directed grooming, the same behavior primates use on each other, redirected inward because there's no one else's fur to attend to in that moment. A researcher named Tiffany Field spent years studying the effects of touch on the human nervous system, and her findings help explain why this feels so good. Touch, especially slow, repetitive touch, triggers the release of a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin lowers stress hormones, slows the heart rate, and creates a felt sense of safety. It's the same chemical released during physical grooming in primates. Your body doesn't seem to care much whether the hand doing the touching belongs to someone else or to you. The soothing effect largely still works. Which brings us to your phone. Think about what scrolling actually feels like. The repetitive motion of your thumb. The steady, low-effort rhythm. The way your shoulders drop slightly and your breathing slows when you're deep in a feed. It mirrors, almost exactly, the physical posture of an animal being groomed. Some researchers who study digital behavior have pointed out that the repetitive stroking motion of scrolling activates some of the same soothing circuitry as physical touch, even though nothing is actually touching your skin except glass. And what about texting? What about liking a friend's post, commenting on their photo, sending a quick, thinking of you message for no particular reason? Under Dunbar's framework, these aren't just communication. They're modern vocal grooming, the exact behavior he identified in gossip and small talk, just moved onto a screen. Every time you check in on someone you care about with a message that carries no real information, you're doing what your ancestors did with their hands. You're maintaining the relationship. You're saying, without saying it, you still matter to me. This reframes an enormous amount of what feels like idle, wasted behavior. The friend group chat that exists purely to share memes. The habit of commenting, "Happy birthday," on someone you barely talk to anymore. The endless small talk with a coworker about nothing important. None of it is really about the content. It's social maintenance. It's grooming, translated into words and taps instead of fingers and fur. There's a darker edge to this, too. Dunbar's number, the theory that humans can only meaningfully maintain roughly 150 stable relationships, comes from the same research. Grooming, whether physical or verbal, has a limited bandwidth. You can only maintain so many connections with the amount of social energy, or the amount of screen time, you actually have. Every hour spent scrolling through strangers' lives on a feed is an hour not spent vocally grooming the actual people in your circle. Your ancient brain still thinks it's investing in relationships. But the feed rarely grooms you back. And this might explain something else entirely, why doom scrolling still leaves you feeling strangely unsettled even when nothing bad happened in the content itself. You're performing the motion of grooming, the physical gesture your body associates with bonding and safety, without an actual bond forming on the other end. It's a grooming behavior aimed at no one. The hand keeps moving. Nobody grooms back. So the next time you catch yourself twirling your hair during a stressful meeting, or scrolling for 10 minutes without really absorbing anything, or sending a pointless, "How's it going?" text to an old friend, you're not wasting time and you're not being anxious for no reason. You're a primate doing exactly what primates have always done to feel safe in a social world. You're just doing it without fur, without another set of hands, and often without another person there at all. Right now, without noticing, your hand might already be near your face. This time, notice it. Not with judgment. With recognition. Because that small, automatic motion connects you to something far older than language, far older than screens, far older than any of the labels we put on ourselves. It connects you to every hand that has ever reached out, gently, to say, in the oldest language there is, you are not alone here.